economist. We're joined by Vladimir Vano in Vienna. He's a fellow at Globsec Economy. Good to have you on the program with us, Vladimir. Now, the world economy is expanding, yet most of the growth is concentrated in these two blocks. What does this shift mean for global power dynamics?
First of all, let's be reminded that the G7 represents the developed countries, whereas the BRICS are the group of so-called emerging developing economies. And by definition, the emerging developing economies coming from the lower base are growing faster. That's the process called convergence. So the faster growth of the developing economies is something that by definition one would expect, whereas the developed economies having achieved higher level of economic development have more challenges growing ahead. And then there are these particular differences, the most important of which you have mentioned in your report, and that's the difference in the demographic development. So the average age in the developing economies is significantly lower than in developed economies, which brings around challenges when it comes to the economic growth. Also, I would like to point out that both the G7 is an informal grouping, so is in principle also the BRICS, which was a term coined 25 years ago to put together this faster growing developing economies. But I would be careful about labeling these two groupings as united blocks. We can speak about United States or United European Union. We can speak about the Shanghai Council for Cooperation. But when we look at the internal workings, for example, of the BRICS countries, I would be careful about calling them a bloc which would be able to act united. And last but not least, what we have seen over the past year, despite the expected faster growth of emerging economies, countries like Russia and Iran do feel the brunt of the sanctions, which just undermine the importance of global integration, which means both trade and investment flow between the developing and developed countries.
Right, and with BRICS nations growing at such a high rate, are we witnessing the beginning of a new economic order?
Multipolarism is the word I would underline, and that's something that we have been talking about for almost 4 decades, ever since the collapse of the Berlin Wall and end of the Cold War. So yeah, we are also, when we look at the economic might of the two most populous countries of the world, India and China, which together account for over 34% of the global population, the economic historians would point out that back a couple of centuries ago, before their internal political meltdown, the weight of the India before the age of the Great Anarchy and the weight of the China before the centuries of internal civil wars was significantly stronger. So when we look at these two most populous economies of the world growing to the forefront, I would just argue that they are just recouping, they are getting back to the position where they used to be, albeit a couple of centuries ago.
Vladimir Vano in Vienna, thank you very much as always.
Thank you for the invitation.